This episode of the Patriots Postgame Show is presented by DraftKings.
This is the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings.
First down,
touchdown.
Dive to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Handoff to Stevenson. Runs it left, big hole across the 40. Cuts left at the 45. And steamrolls the defender there.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
And we welcome you into our studios here at Gillette Stadium with the final score in overtime. Seattle comes to New England and beats the Patriots 23-20 in overtime. This is the Patriots postgame show presented by DraftKings. Matt Smith here, joined by Paul Perillo. Other cast of characters will join us soon after.
We will get Mike Dussault shortly, and my guess is we'll get the boss man, Fred Kirsch, shortly after that.
Good hustle to come down here. Paul, disappointing one.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they had opportunities,
They had some
Matt.
opportunities there to kind of salt this thing away. Good for them that they stayed in it when things weren't going their way. That sequence at the end of the fourth quarter, after Gibson picked up the first down, I think was a telling one, Paul, where they weren't really able to do anything. Gibson slips and loses two on the first carry, sack, and they get a field goal block, and you could just kind of feel the worm turn at that point.
I couldn't agree with you more. I thought you get... and we're going to talk, and I'm going to use some terms that some people won't like, but, you got, an accidental 50-yard run.
Right.
I mean, you had it blown up in the backfield for -5.
Missed tackle.
Couldn't be more of a deflating situation for Seattle. They're down 3. Now they're at the 25-yard line. The Patriots are basically 25 yards away from ending the game, and they went backwards.
Right.
I think that you accurately put your focus on that sequence because that's where the game was lost in my mind.
And my question to you there, Paul, were they playing against the Seahawks or were they playing against the clock? Because I was wondering if they were worried too much about the clock. They needed a score there in the worst possible way.
Yeah, I mean, if they were playing against the clock, then that's a really, really bad decision by the coaches because there's plenty of time left. The touchdown ends the game. A field goal does not.
Correct.
Matter of fact, in hindsight, the field goal getting blocked allowed you to get into overtime.
Right.
Because I think Seattle was, if Seattle's down 6 instead, they're going for the touchdown at the end of the game, and they're probably getting it.
Right.
So I thought, I hope they weren't going for the clock. Let's put it that way. I think it was just bad execution once they got down there, and it was unfortunate.
I guess my question is, Paul, at that point in time, you mentioned, and I think it's accurate, you talk about the gift run by Gibson at that point in time.
It was a great run by Gibson, by the way. I'm just
Heck
saying,
of a play.
that's a play Seattle. Not only the guy missed him in the backfield, the rest of the people, I think, had kind of stopped thinking the play was over.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to take anything away from Gibson's
Gibson
run.
was really good today.
He
by
was
the way.
really
He's going to
good
show
today.
up on the good list.
Yep, and I think that was a big play. It just seemed then and there that they, again, uber conservative, and the ability to protect the quarterback when he drops back to pass, it's alarming.
I talked about this last week. You can have a lot of these things where, your quarterback is squirting around, making some plays, and you're finding a way to avoid sacks and make plays. It's not a good way to live.
No.
Last week, my guess is everybody thought the offensive line was good. This week, my guess is everybody thought the offensive line was bad. I didn't really see a whole lot of difference between the two performances up front.
Right. You're Johnny Computer here with the stats. What did they end up running for, Paul? Were they over,
The Patriots ran the ball reasonably well. Now, a little of that is deceptive because of two big runs. But, the Patriots end up running for 185 yards on 36 carries, 5-yard average. I mean, that's certainly running it well enough. Now, you had a 45-yard run from Gibson and an 18-yard run from Stevenson. Stevenson, even with the 18-yard run, was below 4 yards a carry.
Correct.
So, Seattle showed up and handled him. But overall, it is. I think that you summed it up perfectly, Mike. And as Mike is getting in, we'll let him get set up. But I thought Matt made a great point right off the top, Mike, that there were just lost opportunities in this game, none more so than you get the long run by Gibson to get down to the 25-yard line, and coming away there, even with a field goal, and a field goal ultimately got blocked, but coming away even with a field goal to me was a lost opportunity to end the game, and I think ultimately that's where the game was lost.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I guess my first thought, and I haven't even looked at the stats or anything, but it just felt like one team had a passing game that was, effective, and the other team
More than functional.
Didn't really. You know, I think the Patriots were kind of tooth and claw trying to, put some things together. I mean, they had some nice runs when they were complimentary, but at the end of the day, it was, just the fact that Geno Smith was able to complete a bunch of passes to his wide receivers and make some big plays. And they were clutch. They were the better team at the end. They got the game-tying field goal, and then they got in overtime, and they both sides of the ball contributed for them just like it did for the Patriots last week. So, hard-fought loss. It's unfortunate.
And I'll just state
missed opportunity. How about that?
Up front, and I agree with everything you guys are saying. Up front, I'll say I was wrong. Like, I thought you put this game in Geno Smith's hands, and you're going to be in good shape.
Off to Geno Smith.
Geno Smith was terrific. Now, he didn't get much help from his guys, who dropped seemingly a pass every other drive. But he was terrific. He didn't put the ball in harm's way, I don't think, a single time all day.
No.
Maybe that deep ball that seemed to come out funny. But I think something might have happened. I think Dietrich Wise might have affected that pass.
Yeah, that's the one to go look back. I'm not sure.
I don't think that he put the ball in harm's way really at all during the course of that game. And just watching the end of the Ravens Raiders game, the Raiders are about to pull off an upset here. I mean, that's it. That was a forward lateral. For some reason, number 0 for the Raiders just decided to spike the ball instead of just recovering it. That's my first red zone foray, Matt. You got to get used to those.
Okay,
all right.
Very good.
But no, I think Matt nailed it, Deuce. Just like I really think that juncture of the game was really important. They needed to go up 2 scores there, and they didn't.
And look, we're going to spend a lot of time dissecting and analyzing the Patriots play. That's what we're due. It's a Patriots postgame show presented by DraftKings. But I want to say, Paul, I know you're trying to take I was wrong on Geno Smith. Hats off to Geno Smith. He
played very well, and he
played
today. Better than a journeyman backup.
No question
which is
about
the
it.
way I described him today.
Yep. He was
much better than that.
Yep.
Some of those throws he made on deep crossers, deep in cuts. I mean, layered over the linebackers and in front of the safeties. Some of those throws were not easy. I think Matt nails it. I think hats off to Geno Smith. He played well.
Webradio at Patriots.com, and this is Andy who's emailing in, and I just, help me out. I don't know if there's a great correlation with the Super Bowl, and I apologize if I'm not Ernie Adams with the rules, but he's asking, you had the game won and for some reason thought taking the ball first in overtime was a good decision. Don't you want to wait and see what the other team does? Do you feel comfortable enough to defer
in regular season? No, in regular season, I want the ball first.
Okay.
In the Super Bowl, when
you're guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine. I'd like to think that you could hold them to a field goal on that, which you did. I mean, I know that they took their foot off the gas.
Oh, they didn't hold Seattle to a field goal at the end. That was first and 10 from the 12.
I know. But
whatever it was, 13.
There is a part of me that wonders if you'd like to see what the other team does. But it's not the same, the rules in overtime in the Super Bowl. So it's not a great analogy.
So you don't get the chance. So even if they score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, you're still getting the ball. You can't take the chance that the other team scored. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't want to give it that first possession. Plus, I'll even say this. Now, it didn't work out this way, but the new touchback, with the dynamic kickoff, which I don't know about you guys, but it had me on the edge of my seat today.
It's less than dynamic.
But in all seriousness, starting on the 30, so now the Patriots that go 3-and-out, even on a 3-and-out, you're punting from the 39-yard line.
Right.
You pin the other team back.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even if you go 3-and-out, you're still winning the field position battle. Now, unfortunately for the Patriots, Seattle just drove the ball right down their throat and, ended the game.
We are in the golden age of punting, by the way. Does every team just have a weapon who just knocks the ball?
Are you finally coming around to my line of thought now?
No,
these guys are all so good.
They're so good.
That punt that Dixon had in the first half was
remarkable.
An unbelievable momentum turn.
Yeah.
It allowed the Seahawks. The Seahawks had the ball with 2.5 minutes left. Allow me, because Mike.
Go ahead. No, lay it out, Paul. I have no idea.
This is my jam. Matt, you might want to take notes.
Okay.
There's about 2.5 minutes left in the half, and the Seahawks have the ball with all their timeouts and a chance for the double score. The Patriots come up big because one of the Seahawks guys, and I forget which one, dropped a pass, and the Seahawks end up having to punt, which now not only eliminates, quote unquote, the double score,
right,
but allows the Patriots an opportunity to get back into the game. I think it was 17. What was it at halftime? 17-13?
17-13.
So it allows them to maybe get a field goal to get within one at the half. Instead, Dixon hits a moonshot
right
out of bounds at what, the 6?
Right.
The 8? So now that completely makes the Patriots' offensive possession conservative. And don't you know, Seattle ends up getting the ball back with all of their timeouts left after a good punt return, which they take over at midfield, and they do have a chance for the double score. They get a field goal. It was actually 14-13 at the time. They get a field goal to end the half, and then they start the second half with the ball again. I thought that punt by Dixon was a huge play.
Michael in South Carolina writes, we should have won this game. Put the kid in. I think you're going to hear a lot of that. The drum's going to start to get a little louder this week. It's Drake May time. I'm done with the experiment. You can't have 3 receptions for the receivers in a game and win.
I would just say this. Today, just the way the game unfolded for today, Drake May would have had a really, really hard time. The amount of immediate pressure that Brissett had today, I don't know how that looks with a rookie. I don't. And I can't wait for the rookie to get in. I said it today during the game. Mike and Evan got mad at me during the game today, Matt.
Why?
Because when one of those shots that Brissett. Now, I am not Fred Kirsch. I do not root for injuries. I do not like injuries. I hate injuries. But when he took one of those shots, I was like, ooh, this might be the start of the Drake May era. I was actually thinking that, and then they yelled at me. Not like this.
I don't think we yelled. It was just
So here,
Paul, not now. This isn't the time.
We're trying to focus.
We're 15 minutes in, and we've talked, pretty much exclusively about the Patriots offense today. And I want to ask you, and Stefan from Germany wants to say a little something about the defense. The defense is good and not great.
I agree.
And I think that was proven to be a little bit today. They did not have a great day today.
No, and I mean, I again, I got to look at the film, but I mean, the feeling to me, was kind of what I said, that they're just, he had some time back there and was able to, get to his second and third reads, and he certainly wasn't under the duress that Jacoby Brissett was in. Now that finally getting to look at the statistics, though, I mean, it's kind of overwhelming when you look at how much they passed for 300 yards and we had like 100 and whatever yards. So, that's kind of it to me. I mean, I thought the defense was,
and they did that without any running game.
Correct. Yeah, nothing. So it's, I think you start to learn who you are. And I think sometimes we watch enough of training camp that you have an inkling of, I think this is what this team is. And maybe the first game can throw you off the scent a little bit. But I think ultimately teams kind of regress towards what they were. Hey, look, I will give credit to not a lot of penalties, not a lot of self-inflicted wounds. It's just,
they didn't turn the ball over.
This is the bottom line, though, and this is what we get back to. Is that it's hard to win when you don't have a passing offense in today's NFL. And that really, to me, is the bottom line.
And I think the other point there to be made, Mike, is 100% right on that one. I think it's also very tough for this team, the way they're constructed. If they don't turn the other team over, it's going to be really hard for them to
I would agree
win.
with that, Matt.
Yeah.
The other team didn't help them a lot today.
Correct.
Now, they did drop at least a half dozen passes, but they didn't turn it over. They didn't set them up on short fields.
Okay, Matt, let's go to the good, the bad, and the injured, please.
Now it's time for the good,
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
the bad,
Hey, what happened?
and the injured.
You all right, Gay?
Okay, Paul, I'll let you kick things off with who are your goods that you want to make sure that you highlight.
All right. I'll start off with Mike Dussault's pregame prediction of Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
I thought he was really instrumental in the offense in the first half. What did he end up with?
Passing offense,
Eight for 109.
Right.
Both of those are career highs. 109 is his career high in yardage. 8 ties a career high in single-game receptions. I thought he did a nice job of sort of maximizing his opportunities. That little screen, misdirection screen, which I thought they dialed up very well and had an opportunity on. I thought that was a big play in the game. And I thought he was really the best part of the offense.
Absolutely.
At least in the first half when they had an offense.
Yeah. It was my
I thought it was him.
my Fred Kirsch lock of the week, which I see Fred, I think, out there going to donate right now. But yeah, great game from Hunter. He was the offense today. And like I said, he's part of he is meant to get catches like this. Maybe to see a little bit more Hooper, but Hunter Henry was outstanding today.
Next, Paul?
Oh, it's Mike's turn.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
We each nominate one
And
person,
then we
listen,
talk about I'm just gonna let you know after Mike gives one, we're going to expect one from you.
Okay, that's fine.
You give one.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm gonna go to Antonio Gibson. There wasn't, I think Ramondre was probably more productive, and I think probably Ramondre will be on there too for me. But I'm gonna go with Gibson. That big 45-yard play you mentioned, Paul, coming at the right time. You need big plays. I mean, that
elicited a fist pump from Mike Dussault.
I did.
And I've been in the press box with Mike Dussault for 5 years, and I can't recall a fist pump from Mike Dussault.
I'm back, baby. I'm not if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm pulling for these guys. No, that was a big play, and I mean that's generating explosive plays when your passing game. Jacoby Brissett throws for 149 yards. I mean, they didn't exist today through the air. They had to find a way to get him through on the ground, and I thought Gibson gave a little bit of a spark aside from what Ramondre did. So I'm going to put him on.
I had Gibson as well, 11 for 96. I thought he did a good job of avoiding contact in the backfield too. I mean, obviously on the 45-yard run, but I thought other times too. I thought he did a good job of not allowing the first guy to make the tackle.
We're joined by the boss man, Fred Kirsch. You asked me to just put one in. I will put one in. I thought defensively, two guys I thought played like you could count on them, and that's Duggar and White. I'm not going to wimp out and just call it a tie, but I would say that Duggar, he really looks like he's kind of handling, a lot on his plate. They lose Bentley early. I don't know who's making the call. I assume it's McMillan. But I thought Duggar did a nice job of trying to get people lined up in the right spot. He made a couple plays,
fourth down.
When they don't block him, he gets a sack. But he looks like a really steadying presence, and you can see why the organization is invested in him.
Yeah. Like the Duggar, a couple big plays looking just... Yeah, had at least a couple checks on him. Did have the blown coverage, though.
Yeah, and he made some big plays that showed up. The fourth down stop was definitely Duggar, and he had a big sack in the first half, but then he also was involved in some other plays.
We'll get to that.
Okay, while we're doing this, as Fred Kirsch joins us now, Fred, let's get your initial thoughts on the Patriots' 23-20 overtime loss to drop to 1-1.
Well, what I was thinking about when they lost the game, as the ball's going through the uprights, is what Paul said during the week. If neither team turns the ball over, the Patriots will probably lose. Patriots need that one or two turnovers.
Yeah, Matt just said it.
Yeah. And that didn't happen. They didn't turn the ball over, but neither did Seattle.
Right.
And on an even playing field, the Patriots are a little bit overmatched.
Right. They're limited.
And we knew that going in.
Yeah. I think I said that earlier, Fred, as you were walking in. I just don't think the way the team is built, if they can't turn it over, there's just not enough there to help generate enough offense.
That's it.
To win the game.
Yeah. I mean, look, they did everything they could, so it was competitive. I don't feel good about losing the game, but it's not like, the sky's falling.
No, the sky isn't falling, Fred, but, and again, we were discussing a little bit about this before, and I want your thoughts on it. It seemed like they might have let one get away. This was a missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, the sack by Jacoby at the end there that put the field goal just a little bit further back than, of course, the block of the field goal. There's a play here and there that it wasn't as perfect as last week. And last week wasn't obviously perfect, but it was closer to perfection a lot closer than this week. And I think Smith actually played better than Joe Burrow did last week.
By a ton.
Yeah.
So I was talking in the press box, not the press box, in the press elevator coming down. I looked at it. I thought they did a lot more things well today than they did last week. The team that they played today tried.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
They're
in
a better
the game.
team. Yeah.
The other, last week the team was on a wildcat strike.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like just watching a little red zone, and I'm watching them play in Kansas City, and the difference of the way Cincinnati looked to start the game as opposed to last week.
That's a really good point.
You know what? It's giving me vibes, and Fred, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's giving me 03 Patriots vibes.
Yeah. Right.
We're going to feel sorry for ourselves in week one.
Yeah.
We're going to lay an egg in Buffalo and get blasted.
31-0.
And then we're going to say, well, who are we really hurting by rolling over on the season? We have a whole season to play. And then they came back the next week, and they won in Philadelphia. And they looked more like the normal Patriots.
Right.
I kind of think Cincinnati had a little of that going on last week.
Yeah.
So I think today, Seattle came, they were banged up. They fought through some injuries. They lost 2 more linebackers during the course of the game. They were already down 2 going into the game. But they played hard. Both teams played really hard in that game. That was a physical game.
Yep.
There was a lot of things to like. I mean, I'm not trying to play the oh, it's a moral victory kind of crap. I don't believe in that. You guys know that.
No.
But I thought they played pretty well today. The other team played pretty well, too. And it came down to an overtime kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we've watched a lot of bad games over the last couple of years. This was not a bad game.
No.
This was an entertaining game. This was also a game that it felt like the Patriots had some fight in them. And it wasn't, the second things start to go bad, they start to feel sorry for themselves. They punch back a little bit. They didn't have the clutch at the end that they had last week. But that's something that I think young teams can grow into and learn from. So it was a fun game. I have watched so many games where it didn't really, this is back and forth and, answering and, you go 3 and out, but then you come back and put together a touchdown drive. So I guess I'd throw Gerard Mayo on the up list. I thought they came ready to play today. They took the lead again. They didn't have not really any major impactful penalties. Nothing stupid for sure.
I'm going to have a rebuttal for that later.
Okay. Well, I'll wait for that. But, look, I'm not going to hold it against Mayo that they, weren't quite able to finish. But overall, I just thought those guys are ready to play. They played hard, and I like the identity that this team's kind of building, even if they do have some shortcomings here in the early going.
Do we shift to the bad?
No, I thought I thought Alex Van Pelt today did some things that we didn't see last week, and that allowed them to get off to a good start offensively in the first half. Now, we know there's a challenge because they just don't have dynamic players on offense. So there's a challenge to find different ways to move the ball, and I thought that little screen for 35 yards to Hunter Henry was one of those. Hadn't seen that play all training camp. We've seen screens to tight ends, but not I thought there was something a little bit different about that. I thought that they dialed up some things. There was a play that would have been a touchdown that unfortunately Jacoby Brissett got so much pressure on. He had to retreat about 20 yards, was falling back, and by the time Henry was able to catch it, he had to slide to the ground.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yep.
There was nobody near him. That's a touchdown.
Right.
And as our buddy Evan likes to say, that was leak. Right, Deuce?
Yeah.
That was a leak.
No, he was going crazy.
Which is basically they leaked the tight end out, and he was uncovered. That stuff I think Alex Van Pelt deserves some credit for.
There was one play where I thought they overthought it a little bit. It was
the play of the game.
Well, it was
the play of the game, 3rd and 1 in overtime. And this is where I'm on Mayo and what are we doing?
Yeah.
Tyquan Thornton's in the backfield.
Yeah, they brought him in for a little eye candy, and then gave it to Ramondre inside, and it didn't fool anybody. But yeah, the frustrating thing for me in this game is just the offense as a whole. It's other than Hunter Henry, everything is a battle getting the ball to the wide receivers. Nothing comes easy. Nothing happens fast. I don't know if the first read for Brissett was never there, but he never dropped back and threw the ball. Not once.
Great.
No,
yeah.
some
Not
of it,
once.
Some of it I agree with you that he holds the ball. That's the knock on him, is he holds the ball too long. But I will say again for the second week, I thought he was remarkable in avoiding sacks.
Oh yeah,
today.
but the fact that he had to.
No, you're right.
You're
right.
You got to imagine if we're going to give AVP praise for overall play calling, you got to say, okay, well, he has to know the limitations of his line.
Yeah, he's going to show up on other lists.
Yeah, there has to be a game plan for getting the ball out of Jacoby's hands quickly.
I agree,
And
Freddie.
whatever the reason, whether it's Jacoby, the line, or the receivers, it's not happening. And it's just frustrating to see every time he drops back, he's running around.
Right. Where's the tier screen? Where are those wide receiver screens? A little drive.
Where's the
starters or
quick
something like
slant
that.
to Pop Douglas?
Quick slant, pop like the same play I was calling for.
So I'll
earlier.
tell you
Right.
something. This is just observational, and I'm sure that Evan will tell me how wrong I am on Tuesday. I think opposing teams are saying, that's all they got. Let's make sure he doesn't beat us.
Yeah.
Because he's a complimentary piece.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing happened on the way to his 120 catch season, who some in the local media predicted.
It might be
120 catches.
Yeah.
Mike, are we pivoting to bad? And I'll let you lead it off.
No, you know what? I got to throw Behringer on there. He just had some boomers.
We talked about punting though, in an overall way, didn't we?
That's fine, but hey, the poor guy, he punted well, and I want to give him his flowers
Right.
for a second. I mean, he had two 56-yarders that were both, down, one at the 15, one at the 10. I know Paul probably point out the one punt that he punted up the middle that they got back up to the 50
It's a
there.
huge play in the game.
It was.
That's a bad one, but otherwise he had a couple good punts. I just think he's booming the ball.
Yeah, he is. I thought he was more good than bad, though. I understand why he was on the good list, but he also had a bad touchback, in my opinion.
All right, Paul. Then do you want to lead it off?
Yarder.
I also had Mike's boys, Peppers and Anthony Jennings.
Oh, you're going to get me to do this, and I don't want to do it, but
big,
go ahead.
With a big sack. I thought that got them off the field in the first half. But, yeah, we can move to the bad.
Well, I just want to, on Peppers.
Unlike last week, there's more bad.
On Peppers specifically, I just want to say this. I know why everybody loves him. He's a great leader. He cares. He was a good guy to extend. It drives me wacky when he's jumping over the pile, not doing anything.
He had 2 of them today.
There's a ball in the air that if he plays the ball, any competent defensive back catches that ball, and there's just, that's a missed opportunity for this team. And the safeties, instead of having to just drill somebody, need to catch those gimmies. It was the one real bad ball that Geno Smith threw, and I would have liked to have seen Peppers.
Yeah, Smith's arm got hit.
Yeah.
He should have had that.
Should have had it.
No question.
And
Peppers should have had
when
it?
you're on
yeah.
Really?
He misjumped it. He mistimed his jump.
He should have fair caught it.
He tried to knock it down.
I came late to it, and I felt like he had no, like he was, like,
He
so
tried-
maybe he
he-
jumped late. I can see that, but I didn't,
I
like,
think he
based
just
on how
had-
the play was, it was like he was.
I saw it
don't
like
know how
Matt
he got
did.
in
I
the
think he
second.
lost his field awareness and didn't
Yes.
realize there was nobody there but him.
Right.
He was knocking it down from nobody.
And when a team's this thin on the margins, those are the plays that, just a little bit here, a little bit there, I would have liked to have seen him made. I'm not going to kill the guy
Yeah,
for it.
I wouldn't kill him for it either. I have him on, Mike, just so you don't get really mad
This
at me.
is like
I have
ridiculous.
Him, I have him
Ridiculous.
on. I have him on the good list. Just so you know, I had him on the good list.
Before you move off the good, in his role as the extra blocker, I thought Caden Wallace did well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I didn't notice him.
I didn't either, and they didn't really have it much in terms of conventional running.
Not
it was
saying
all
no,
like
but-
these broken
yeah.
plays that Stevenson and Gibson made. Again, a lot of yards on their own. I mean, the yards piled up. But I didn't really see a lot of. We're just going to line up and run.
Yeah, I'm not saying
I thought he did well.
Okay, you're going to kick things off.
When Fred sniffs,
that means
he's
shut
right
up.
and you're wrong.
Okay. Good to know. I'm going to write that one down. All right, Paul, lead
Beware
us
the
off with the bad.
Okay, the bad, I would say a combination. I'll let Mike take the second part of it. I'll focus on the secondary. The pass defense, to me, I didn't think they had more than a handful of guys reasonably well covered in this game. There weren't a lot of tough throws into tight windows. There was just guys open. It started with the first touchdown of the game where Gonzalez and Duggar both let, I don't know, you might want to cover a guy who runs like that. DK Metcalf all by himself. He catches 10 for 129 and had 2 flat-out drops. 2 flat-out drops that hit. One of them would have been a 20-yarder over the middle that hit him between the 1 and the 4. The secondary was just not good, and that's going across the board today.
Yeah.
Everybody that was involved in coverage today struggled.
I put Marco Wilson, too, in the spotlight just because of his unnecessary pass interference penalty.
Totally
they would have
unnecessary.
gotten off the field. A couple plays from him. He was another one. And I'm with you on Gonzalez. And I mean, I like I said in the pregame show, if he's picking them apart, I wonder what the pressure's like. And the pressure wasn't great either.
That's
Not
why I
matched
left.
up.
That's why I left the second.
It's all
part to
kind of
you.
connected,
Yeah.
but I just would say to stay on the secondary that this is a game where you need Gonzalez if he's going to be that guy to step up and make some plays. And those guys, Jonathan Jones, unfortunate pass interference. I mean, you can really go. I mean, I thought Marcus Jones had some moments again where he is.
I thought
he's
he was
making some plays.
Out of those
He's
three,
tackles. Yeah.
now it's tough because Smith and Jigba caught a million passes.
Yeah.
He was
but
terrific.
I thought that his coverage was more competitive today than I've seen it in his career.
I'm glad you put it that way. That's what I saw too. But not enough from the secondary. But again, we'll see like what the pressure rates and all that kind of stuff was because it just felt like Geno had a lot of time and it's hard for anybody to cover forever.
And I think I saw some people on the Twitter world, screaming about the penalty. We should talk about that for a second on Jay Jones. Unfortunate call, but I don't think that was, do you let him play on that one?
Oh God, no.
The broadcaster said he was looking back. It shouldn't have been called.
Right.
No.
But he shouldn't have been tackling him before the ball
Correct.
got there.
No, he
exactly
didn't.
what I
He didn't
thought.
tackle him.
Right.
Matt, what did you think? Because Fred will never agree with me
pass
on
interference.
anything.
No, I'm just telling you what the broadcaster said.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you what I saw.
Yeah.
Right. I thought it was pass interference. Too much contact on that play, and
The guy can't catch the pass if his two arms are pinned to his body by the other player.
And that's not a reason why they lost the game.
The broadcaster said he was looking back to make the play. It shouldn't have been a call.
But
That's
he's
what
not
he said.
playing the ball. He's looking back while tackling the
I'm
receiver.
just telling you what he said.
I know, but what do you think? You saw it. Matt and I heard what the announcer said. What did you think?
I couldn't tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was pass interference.
Right. Mike, with the sniff. Mike, leading off for your bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if I officially put the pass rush on there, but I would just put pass rush. Just not consistent enough, not disruptive enough. Too many times, clean pocket. Gino's got time. You know, a guy needs to clear the center of the field on a crosser, and he's got the time. I thought that was, one of the biggest differences. There were a couple times on the Patriots offense where it felt similar, like, all right, if you can just let Douglas cross and get past the middle, they might have something. But they didn't have the time to, and by that time, Jacoby would have to try to sneak out. So they're going to need more than Keon White, to generate pass rush. We need Josh Uche. We need a guy like Daniel Akwale to have some push. Dietrich Wise, those guys, it just wasn't enough today. They weren't disruptive enough.
I totally agree with you, Mike. They not only need like someone to win suddenly. Like they don't get any. Like Keon White has what is it now? 3.5 sacks? Did he have just one today?
I think
because he was involved in one of the ones earlier in the game. I don't think he got credit for anything. I think that was the one Jennings and Peppers shared.
Yeah, 1.5 today.
So he's up to four sacks on the season. He doesn't get there quickly.
No.
They need someone to win suddenly and not when the quarterback is scrambling and just tackling him before he gets to the line. Now, those are valuable plays. Like Keon White had one of those today for a 7-yard loss. That's a valuable play. But to Mike's point, if the coverage isn't there, the pass rush doesn't get home. Whereas there have been times the other way where the pass rush is immediate and Brissett's forced to make a quick decision to avoid a sack. The Patriots haven't had enough of those. I think the pass rush is worthy to be questioned, Mike.
And there's a couple times, and I know they want to disguise, who knows what they're trying to do, but when you see White 25 yards down the field that is taking the middle zone away, or Uche, who's way downfield and is not involved in a passing down, those are kind of, when you're trying to generate a pass rush and you're limited there as far as that's concerned, it's interesting to see that, how some of those disguises have those people not involved in doing that. To me, it was interesting, at least. I don't know obviously you don't know what the play call is or anything like that, but it's interesting to see those kind of impact pass rushers 25 yards down the field.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they're scrambling right now. I mean, we talked about it all summer long. They missing Barmore, missing Judon. Those were the two
Bentley.
Key pieces. And, Jawan Bentley didn't help either. I mean, as much as he's kind of an early down guy, they've used him more as an every down pass rush type leader.
And he basically missed the game. Like I talked a lot about Seattle's linebackers. That's a big loss for the Patriots defense. In the middle of the defense, he missed the last 3 quarters. So, that's an impactful injury.
I saw him on the sidelines a couple times in civilian clothes, and he was engaged and trying to help on and everything like that. But
so that's not a good sign.
Correct.
Yeah, you need a shoulder as a linebacker.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on a short week like that, I don't think that bodes well for his availability on Thursday night.
Right.
No, quick turnaround. It's a good
so,
point, Matt.
Fred, you have any bads? I'm always curious for Fred's bads.
Well, I mean, yeah,
he can't bring himself to do it.
No, I mean, just the line breakdowns overall. It's hard to pin it on just one guy, because it kind of came from everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. Pass protection was on my list.
Yeah, and then the special teams breakdown. Do we know why the field goal was blocked? I missed it. Was it a guy just unblocked? Was it a low? Was it a low kick?
No, he was unblocked, untouched, and that would be if I was signaling a bad. You got to make sure that you're buttoned up and your protection is good on that. If the kid misses a 47, 48-yard field goal, you'd like to think that those are gimmies. Again, in the golden age of kickers, that most people are going to make that. But you got to at least protect it and give him a chance to kick it.
I agree. 48 yards, you can't get him blocked. I agree with Fred.
That's
a breakdown.
That was disappointing to me. Again, that whole turn of events where you're down close, step on their throat, touchdown puts the game away for you. You go backwards, and then you can't block up field goal protection on that. That's where I thought things really turned.
I also thought you had some red zone issues again earlier in the game. I thought they had some chances. They had some good drives. I thought the first half, they moved the ball better in the first half today than they did at all last week. And and unfortunately it kind of went away in the second half. They didn't move it quite as well, but I thought that they had a chance to get more points, and I thought that they left some points on the field.
Anybody else on your naughty list, Mike?
Just something to be aware of. Did they ever rule that Ramondre a fumble? Was that ever?
Yeah, it was definitely
ruled
a fumble.
That's his second drop in 2 games.
And this
inside
one,
the 5,
and
by
this
the way.
red zone fumble,
Yep.
that can't happen. That's on my list. I also thought he was a little loose with the ball on the touchdown.
Right.
I don't know if you saw the replay of the touchdown on the
see it.
Wildcat play,
Yeah.
which, by the way, another one for AVP. Like that was a nice little wrinkle.
Innovative,
But
creative.
as he was going in, and he's well in the end zone. This was not close to a fumble, but I don't believe he lost the ball on his own. Like, I believe he got stripped as he was, he was 2-3 yards deep into the end zone. But I still, again, every post-game show I'm going to do it. Like Bill Belichick always said, I want the guy who starts the play with the ball to end up with the ball.
Right.
And too often he doesn't.
Well, that's one to keep. I think that's one for everybody to keep an eye on going forward. Is ball security in Ramondre.
Well, you notice
'Cause I
that
think there's something that he can do to tighten that.
after that red zone play where he almost lost it, Gibson came in for the
Yes.
next drive.
Yes.
And I just wonder if it's like, hey, you need to think about things.
Okay,
Yeah.
we've mentioned a little bit on the injured, and we mentioned Bentley, which is probably the biggest one.
I'm not done.
Oh, my
I'm not
apologize.
done. The
My
reason
apologize.
why I was going to say to Mike earlier, I had some rebuttals. I thought there was some sloppiness coaching-wise as the game wore on. They had a wasted timeout for not having the proper
Mayo looked
personnel out
pissed.
there. The field goal, I think that's coaching. I think that's part of the special team stuff. If we're going to praise when it's all clean last week, the biggest play of the game offensively is a 3rd and 1 in overtime, and you lined up improperly. You're not lining up wrong. Like, that's coaching. And I'm not putting it all on Gerard Mayo, per se, but he's the head coach.
Right.
So, unfortunately, the blame falls on him. But I thought there was some sloppiness today that we did not see last week from a coaching perspective. And those were a couple of examples. Blocked field goal, having to burn a timeout. I thought they burned timeouts a little bit too recklessly today in general.
Yeah.
But that one they had to call because they didn't have the right. They had 12 guys out there.
Right.
And I think that they had the alignment problem on the key 3rd and 1. Now, the Seahawks blew the play up anyway, so it didn't matter. But can you imagine if you squeak out a 3-yard run there and now it's 3rd and 7 instead? Like, that's a killer.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I talked about and then just that whole sequence that we talked about after the long run by Gibson. Gibson gives you a miraculous 45-yard run, which I think should have put the game away. I think that should have ended the game. Seattle had to be ridiculously deflated at that point. Matt's pregame point about the weather might have been a factor there. Who knows? Maybe they're getting tired, and you can't lean on him and get 25 yards. Instead, on a 3rd and 6, you get sacked, making it a long field goal from 48 that then gets blocked. Just everything about that.
Yeah.
Those 3 plays was really disappointing.
Key sequence of the game really was. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm done now.
So
I talked about that punt already, which I thought was a huge play in the end of the first half when he punts it right down the middle, right to the returner, allows them to get a 20,
back to the 50, 24-yard.
24-yard punt return. That's a big punt return.
Right. So we talked about Bentley and, taking a look ahead. Is he going to be available for the Jets on a short week? The other one that we saw just a glimpse of in watching the broadcast as they get into overtime is Vidarian Lowe.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's certainly an injury to keep an eye on.
Yeah, especially with Okorafor now out. I mean, that's now you're down to kind of your last 2 tackles that you trust, and that's one of those includes Caden Wallace, a rookie. So they might be scrambling. Maybe, hopefully, Vidarian Lowe's able to turn around. Last one I didn't even see, though, was Zimenez, who was ruled out with a knee injury. I didn't see what happened to him.
I didn't see it either, but
Right.
I would say the tackle thing is much about, to me, more than Vidarian Lowe, because I don't really know how much of a difference there is with Lowe or Wallace, but it's clear after 2 weeks that they're planning on doing that extra tight end with the tackle, the 3rd tackle a lot, and does this now prevent you from doing that? Can you do that with Mike? Forgive
Trey
me.
Jacobs, I guess.
Who's the other guy that was
Thomas?
Zach Thomas is the guy who's up first, right? Because he was the guy that was active today. Do you feel comfortable enough to do that with a guy who's been on your team for 3 weeks.
They had Leverett in at fullback.
Right.
So,
Right.
You know.
And have they had time to rep that with the new guy? And on a short week,
No
where's
practice.
the time to rep that?
Yeah.
You know?
So that could be a
that's
significant injury.
significant. Yep. No question about it. Okay, I wanted to hit this on the email chain here. Jaden writes in and goes, I know there will be calls to put Drake May. And by the way, we're seeing some emails for that. There's a lot of Drake May chatter out there.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Of course.
I knew I had one more thing about the coaching that I didn't like, and I this was a first guess. The end of the touchdown drive, the second touchdown drive for Seattle. Seattle was facing a 3rd and 6 after a second down play, and there was a penalty for an illegal man downfield, which would have made it a 2nd and 12. There's 5:59 left in the half, I believe. Instead of 2nd and 12, I think it was actually a 2nd and 13. They declined the penalty and set up 3rd and 6. The next play was the pass interference that Marco Wilson committed in the end zone. I would have backed him up there. I don't think 2nd and 13s in the red zone or high red zone are easily converted. I think 3rd and 6 is a reasonable conversion. I thought that was a play that was a first guess. I said I don't understand why
that could have gone either
why
way.
we're declining that.
No, I could understand. Don't give him that extra down. I could get that. I could understand that
Well,
one.
they made it a manageable. I'd rather have them be in long yardage. They made it manageable. They're probably going to get conservative because they got points there. They're already in field goal range.
Yeah.
3rd and 6, you don't have to take a shot there.
Yeah.
So I just want to finish
I
this
didn't
point
like it.
that Jaden is making about May, and I think the drum is going to sound a little bit more this week. And he's going. I'm sure there's going to be calls to put Drake May in, but I'm not sure how much better the offense would have looked with him. Scoring 20 points on offense is probably the best you're going to get. What say you with the renewed calls, or probably the constant calls until he gets in? For now, let's go to Drake.
You're going to
May.
get it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Oh, it's already happening.
I mean, you got it after a near perfect performance and a win.
Right.
Yeah.
I would just say, though, that this is a little bit encouraging to me because ideally you'd like to be able to put
agree.
Drake May into an offense like you're not anticipating that Jacoby Brissett was going to come in here and light the world on fire. So in a perfect world, what would happen? You'd say, well, there's a team here. They have kind of an identity, all right? We see, they're fighting hard. They seem to be, willing to get rid of the bad mistakes. But what's missing from this offense? Passing, explosive passing, downfield passing. What did we see all summer from Drake May? The willingness to try to make those throws, the mobility to get away. So I'm not saying he needs to go in this week, but at least there's a little bit of a foundation here where you say, I think they got a running game here that can protect a rookie quarterback a little bit. I mean, they got a ways to go, but I like some of the elements.
I would just, we're not the coaches. We're not privy to the film study and how the plays are supposed to be drawn up and where the breakdowns really were. But I'd love for somebody to tell me how much of the offense right now is because of Jacoby or is it because of everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping,
What do you think it is, Fred?
Well, in the first half, I would have said Jacoby. But as the game went on, I'm like, I don't think Drake May would have made much of a difference today.
Yeah.
Assuming he's ready.
Right.
Assuming he's ready, I don't think he would have made much of a difference today because I don't think guys are getting open, and I don't think Jacoby really had time. And if those two things are true, then what's Drake May going to do other than just run the ball?
We talked in the pregame show about how is this team going to react to adversity. Well, they've got some adversity right now. They lose a potentially winnable game at home, certainly where there are opportunities maybe to finish the game off. They lose their defensive leader, okay? The offensive line woes continue with maybe some bodies, and you're going to lose more depth pieces and stuff like that. And now you got to go on the road, division rival.
How'd the Jets do today?
They won.
They won, but not impressively, 24-17.
Right. But they're going to be, all fired up. It's their first home game of the year. They've been 2 games on the road, short week and everything like that. I do think the Patriots are facing some adversity, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they tackle that when they head into Thursday night.
Yeah, I don't think that this was a demoralizing loss. I think this was a loss that, again, stay away from the what is it, moral victory kind of thing. But again, they hung in there, and their problems are obvious. No one is questioning what they need to do to win these games. But I like the explosive plays from the run game, and if they can figure out a way to keep those kind of going, I think those offset. If those hadn't happened, I think this would have been a little bit more lopsided than it was. But those big plays in the run game are huge.
To your point, there were a couple of junctures in the game where I thought they were kind of teetering and caught a break.
Yeah.
One that I was talking with that I can remember was in the first half. I think the Seahawks had just scored to make it 14-10 maybe, or maybe they had scored to make I forget. But there was a first down fail. It was 2nd and long. Brissett gets pressured immediately. He basically throws one away to the sideline, about 10 yards in front of Demario Douglas. And Devon Witherspoon hits him as the ball's hitting the ground. Now, the ball was well short. The ball hit the ground as the contact was. You could call for pass interference. So, like, that to me is not like you ran this great route and the guy was in trouble and he had to reach out and grab you. Instead of 3rd and 10, it's 1st and 10.
Right.
And they end up going down and getting a field goal on that drive.
Yeah.
They had, obviously, the Gibson play, which is a 5-yard loss under normal circumstances. They had the Seahawks are driving in the I think in the 3rd quarter. They get a play to set up a first down play to set up 2nd and 5. The Seahawks lineman throws a punch at a guy. So it's a post-play foul, and now it's 2nd and 20 from their own, from back at their like 10-yard line. Like, there were a couple of plays like that happened at opportune times for the Patriots, which kind of kept them afloat. And then, unfortunately, you were in position to win the game and didn't, after all of that. So there were a lot of things to like today, but they got to clean up some stuff.
23-20, the Patriots lose in overtime in their home opener to go to 1-1 on the season. 855-PATS-500 is the number. Let's start with Cameron in North Carolina. Cam, you're joining us now on the Patriots postgame show. Hello. Cameron, are you there? Cam's out.
He dropped.
All right. Let's go to Logan in Indiana. Logan in Indiana, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. 0 for 2. We're going to give one more try.
The Hardy tradition
It's
continues.
like Hardy never left.
Yeah.
For Deshaun in Virginia. Deshaun in Virginia, are you there? Ian, we're 0 for,
Yeah,
0
we
for
got
3.
we got the hat trick.
0 for 3.
We'll
They'll
reset the table.
They'll call back.
Okay. John from...
You got Deshaun on the air.
Deshaun's up. Deshaun.
Okay. Hello, Deshaun.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are
You
you?
put on hold, Matt. That was all.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, hi, Deshaun.
Got some things to clean up.
Hey,
We'll catch it in post.
you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey guys. I just want to know, I want to let you guys know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I figure it may go downhill from here, because if they're serious about contending, they will let the kids play. Now, if they don't want to contend, then keep Jacoby in, because I heard you guys saying that, if the kid was in, it would not have made a difference. But I beg to differ, because he's much more athletic and he can make throws off platform that Jacoby can't make. So that's why I believe that this offense would have more juice if Drake May was playing.
Well,
I think if Drake May were ready to play, I would
it's
agree
possible,
with you.
but who's talking about contending even if Drake May played this year?
Yeah, not me.
This is just a learning year for Drake May.
100%.
Maybe I'm completely off base here, but even if Drake May started on week 1, I was hoping that he would just learn and forget about the record, that he would just get the experience so that next year when we can add some pieces around him, then maybe we're ready to contend for a playoff spot. But that wasn't on my radar for this year.
The Drake May, when will he start decision might be taken out of anybody's hands, and it might be a game of attrition.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the replays with Brissett,
but I would just argue,
and
I don't know that you can say that Drake May's ability to make off all of that stuff is painfully apparent. He's infinitely more skilled than Jacoby Brissett.
Right, but
he's
guys
not
have to
getting
get
away from
open.
the pressure we're watching on the screen right now.
But if he's not ready to play, he's not going to avoid the situations that Brissett consistently has avoided now through 2 games.
Yeah.
He has been
There was
under
one play, he
siege.
was like a magician back there, Brissett, near his own goal line.
I mean, we're seeing the greatest hits right now. I mean, this is for me, I think there were 3 times today where I held my breath and thought that might be it for Jacoby.
But I think people are looking at some of the plays where Brissett sort of escapes the pocket and then rolls out, and he can't make the throw. There was one in particular that he had a rollout, Mike, in the second half going like toward the Patriots bench down in that red zone area. He just didn't have the arm to get it there.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
If Drake May is in the same spot, he completes that pass. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. I can't just say, well, Drake May would have done the same thing that Brissett did to escape the pocket and make, yes, he's more athletic than Brissett, but that doesn't mean he knows where these rushers are coming from. And I think Brissett has been able to do that.
Right. The electronic mail from John is in at webradio@patriots.com. I would think being able to run the ball as well as we do in portions of the game, we could have a few explosive passing plays. What am I missing? Is it the quarterback? Are the shot plays not creative enough? What am I missing, fellas? That's John from Louisiana.
Everything is missing.
No, but that's a good email because
I agree.
He's right.
Because as you're watching the game in the first half, you're thinking they can really pound this ball. You put May in here. And
they didn't run the ball very well in the first half.
And I thought the running game opened up in the second
half. They made
whenever they started doing it, they were pounding the ball, and it was really looking good. And you think, okay, insert May into this. But then I'm thinking, but who's getting open?
Well, I think they tried a lot of play-action shot plays today, and you just look, and there's just nobody there.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I don't think they ran the ball great today. The numbers look really, really good.
Skewed by a couple of big runs as we
The
said
numbers
earlier.
look really, really good. But, I mean, Ramondre, 21 for 81, 3.9 a carry. That's not really good, especially when you consider he had 20 on one run. But to the emailer's point, I agree with them. They should. The way they run the ball and the way they get the attention from the defense for running the ball, because everybody knows that's what they want, they should be able to run it for 5 yards, for 6 yards, and have a hard play action and have a shot play come open.
Yeah.
And they just, through 2 games, they haven't had a single one.
Or on first
downfield.
down when they're loaded up.
Right.
Fool them on first down.
Right. They just haven't had a single play so far. Like, wow, there it is.
And like I said, nothing happens fast when they go to pass.
And I would say, like he said, is it the quarterbacks? Is it the line? I think it's everything. The protection doesn't hold up, even with those play actions. The quarterback is not quick enough with his reads, and the receivers do not uncover fast enough. I think it's widespread. And until that changes, I don't think that's going to be all that much better for Drake May.
And there's one more thing, Paul, that I think you hit on, and Jason, our emailer, writes, my main problem with today's game, which was mentioned, is that Brissett is not getting the ball out of his hands fast enough.
I could not agree
and
more
I
with that.
And I think that as you look at the totality of it, it's not one guy.
But that's where I need the coaches to help me.
Yeah.
But that is,
could he be getting it out of his hands?
That is one of the real knocks on Brissett, is he holds the ball too long.
But could, in this, as this offense is constituted, could he be getting it out of his hands? Is the opportunity there? That's where I need some help.
No, Freddie, it's a great point.
Slants, tear screens, something like that. Maybe some drive starters.
By the way, they tried a lot of screens today. They didn't work.
And you mentioned, Pop Douglas, Paul. You could be right. Maybe the teams are like, we're not going to let this guy beat us.
Yeah, I just look at it as I think they have a lot of guys that opposing teams are comfortable just saying, we're going to put our cornerbacks on them, and we're not going to worry about them.
No.
And they haven't had to.
I'm not going to say it.
Very easy to defend.
Let's see. Alex from Greece. You're next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great. How are you?
Hey, Alex.
Good. That overtime game took me to 12 a.m. over here, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
It took us after 4 p.m. here, so I'm not real happy about it either.
Yeah. Good.
Especially after a loss.
I wanted to just make a comment about Drake May. First of all, I agree with everything you guys have said about May over the last few minutes, but I think we're underestimating just how important it is to make those off-platform. I mean, Jacoby Brissett was 15 of 27 today. 7 of those incompletions I counted in the first half. He just missed open guys. I mean, he hit Demario Douglas at his feet twice. He missed a streaking poke twice, and those are plays that an athletic quarterback would hit.
I disagree with you.
I
don't think he missed open guys today.
No.
The throw at Demario Douglas's feet came when he was picking out pieces of rubble out of his face mask.
Hold on. No, so what I'm trying to say is I firmly believe Drake May would have thrown like 2 picks that game. We were probably losing by more than what we lost by. But why not add that dimension to your offense? If this is just a rebuilding year, Why not throw him out there?
Yeah.
He's going to throw 2 to 3 picks.
No, I'm with you there,
He
Alex.
can make those big plays downfield.
Yeah.
He can make some plays that puts the defense on their toes a little.
And I think there's an infinite amount. I'm with Alex here on his larger point. I shouldn't have gotten bogged down in semantics. I'm with Alex on his point.
Thanks, guys. That's all.
Because I think there's a lot to be gained by having him learn how to deal with that stuff.
I agree. But I would put him out there for that, but not with the expectation that now we're going to start winning football games. You know, I think there's a difference there from what I'm hearing from people. Like, oh, if Drake May was in, we'd be winning. We'd be contending. No.
Well, not at first, but I mean, ideally, by
maybe
down
the stretch.
Once
maybe
he gets a few in his under his belt,
maybe he racks off 5 in a row to end the season. But like
you would just
that's unfair expectation to think. Oh, you're just going to put Drake May in with this offense, and all of a sudden we're contenders. You're going to be disappointed.
But Alex is right. There is an ability that he has.
Sure.
That Jacoby.
And he's also right. He's probably going to throw picks.
And that's the point I think.
And that's okay.
Right. But that's
okay.
not. But it's not going to be okay because a lot of these people are calling in saying Drake May has to play. The second he has a game like this, they're going to call back and say Drake May's a bust now. What are we going to do?
Well,
that's what you're trying
I'm
to
sorry, but
delay as
as
long
little
as
as I know about football, I know more than that.
And that's a little.
All right. We'll tap into that wealth in just a minute, but we're going to take a break first. You're listening and watching the Patriots postgame show presented by DraftKings.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx, and with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATCH-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com. Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
And welcome back to the Patriots postgame show presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. The Patriots lose their home opener 23-20 to Seattle. Here in Foxborough, let's clear some calls. Let's hit Dan in Colorado first. Dan, hello. You're joining us in the Patriots postgame show.
Hey, guys. Without question, I think the most disappointing part about today's loss was definitely the secondary. The offense struggling is no real surprise to me, but, you looked at the secondary before the season. You have veteran leadership returning. You have young talent. I was really hoping that they just wouldn't get blown through the way they did at the end of the game there. Anytime they needed 10 yards, 9 yards, whatever what third and long was, there's JSN, there's Metcalf. And I was just really disappointed they struggled so much again today. I get they're really strong receivers, but no, I was expecting more out of the secondary, and it was really disappointing at the end of the game.
All right, Dan, thanks for your call. And I'm going to agree with Dan. There was a bit of you just didn't feel well if they can't pressure, Mike, as you were saying earlier, Smith had the time. He was going to find somebody open. There was you just got that feeling, well, they're going to complete what they need to complete here to get down the field.
You got the feeling they weren't really challenging them on any short or mid-range passes. They were giving him a little bit too much cushion.
Yeah.
Found
a rhythm, got comfortable with what they were doing, and then they just seemed to lean into it. And as the game progressed, you felt less confident about both their passing offense making plays and your own passing offense being able to make big plays.
Great. D in Baltimore, you're next with us on the Patriots postgame show. Hello, D.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey.
Good.
So we all can agree that the offensive line is bad, right?
It's not good.
It's bad.
It's bad.
And it's a work in progress with the two rookies.
If we know that, why not create plays to get the ball out faster?
Well, that's what we were talking about. Like, and
they don't.
I think they're supposed to come out faster.
I agree, D. And like I said before, I don't know if the reason why they're not is because of Jacoby or because no one is getting open. I just don't know that.
But we're not doing nothing quick. No quick bubble screen.
Well, they're trying.
We're not doing no.
They're trying to, but they just don't get open.
Right.
Like they ran screens today. They got blown up. They had one that was really good to Hunter Henry for 35 yards, but they tried at least two others that Jacoby had to throw right at Ramondre Stevenson's feet.
Yeah.
D, thanks for the call. Let's go to Logan in Indiana. Logan in Indiana, you're joining us next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello.
Hey, you guys hear me all right?
Yeah. Sure. What's your question?
All right. Hey, you guys are awesome. Hey, I just want to ask a question, Paul. Fred, Mike. Do you think they were ice? And Paul mentioned a penalty that was called. I have to watch the game from, unfortunately, Bleacher Report. But and I seen where they were in the.
Okay.
I'm guessing the 8-yard line. And
Talking to the phone.
Stopped by the. There was a timeout call.
Yeah, I'm having
trouble. And I felt like at that point, when they were in the red zone, they were driving pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't get to watch it live, but I felt like they were high.
Okay, Logan, thank you for your phone call. Couldn't really hear that.
Yeah, sorry. It was a bad phone, bad connection.
How come the guy that calls from overseas in Greece is crystal clear and the guy from Indiana, it's like under his pillow?
All right, we're going to hear from the head coach in a second, but first a big thank you to our partner, Microsoft Surface, the official sideline technology provider and laptop of the National Football League and the New England Patriots, that provides players and coaches with the tools to succeed both on and off the field. Check out the new Surface Pro, designed to keep up with you as the most flexible, most powerful 2-in-1 laptop and tablet out there at surface.com. Here's Gerard Mayo's remarks after the game.
This is NFL football. It's one play here, one play there. You just never know which play it is. And, it's easy to try to pick out some plays here and there, but it's all of us. We have to get better as a team and look forward to getting back on the practice field, getting better.
Gerard, how much do you learn from this one? You had the blocked field goal, which certainly cost you some points, and then they came and got a field goal, and then at the end, the 47-yard run set you guys up nicely. Kind of a lot of little things. How much do you learn from a game like this?
That's a great question. That's part of my message. It's all about the details. If we get the little things right, the big things will take care of themselves, and we just didn't take care of the little things, and we weren't as detailed, I should say, on top of our P's and Q's like we should have been, which is my responsibility. And look, I take 100% responsibility, and, look, these guys, I will say this, this is a tough football team, no matter what's said outside this building, and I told these guys that as well. Look, we're a tough football team, not only physically, but also mentally. I appreciate their effort. Just wasn't enough today.
Gerard, you've mentioned that this is clearly a tough football team, but in seeing today's game, the limited passing attack, only 3 completions to receivers, do you think at all today's game showed the limitations you guys have right now on offense?
I'm not sure. Each team is going to try to attack us different ways. Well, we definitely have to start to get the ball down the field. We got to start pushing the ball down the field to get that shell defense, to get that shell defense, and we got to be able to run. We got to be able to pass. We just got to be able to ping pong between the two. It's something that we need to work on. That's what I would say.
Gerard on the 3rd and 1 there. Taekwon's in the backfield, unbalanced line. You talk about being a tough physical football team. Did you maybe get too cute there?
That's all on us. That's us. That's on us as coaches. I don't put anything on the player. Look, he was in there at times. He had to report. Then he played some tackle, and there was some confusion. But once again, there was no receiver outside of him. And so that's our fault, 100%.
But from a mentality standpoint, Gerard, just kind of like trying to drive the ball down people's throat, and in that case, felt like tried to do something, fancy might be the wrong word, but.
No, I don't think we tried to do anything fancy. I think we tried to, run the plays that we felt pretty comfortable with going into the game, and then at halftime made some adjustments. And look, this isn't a fancy football team. This is one of those teams, whether we throw it or run it, that we just had to be a tough football team, but at the same time have to be smart. And we have to be able to go out there and line up and be mentally tough on a down-after-down basis.
Hey, Gerard, how much consideration did you guys have for going for it on 4th and 1 in overtime?
I would say there's some consideration. There's always consideration in those weird spots, especially when you get in the plus side of the field. I did what I thought was best.
And then with Okorafor leaving the team, did that surprise you at all? How would you describe your conversations with him?
I would say, I had a conversation with Chooks, and it had nothing to do with football. It had everything to do with just checking on him as a man. It was a good conversation. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Josh Brigadier.
Gerard, what worked very well for you guys in Cincinnati was not giving up the big play. And today, Metcalf had that catch in the first, and obviously the blocked field goal. Was that the difference in the game?
Those were 2 huge plays. And that's on us. At times, we want to be aggressive, and they called a good play, and they hit it down the sideline.
Gerard, your final 9 plays offensively, just 11 yards. What happened with the execution there late in the game?
Just wasn't good enough. The execution just wasn't good enough. I wish I had an excuse. We just had to be better.
Hey, Gerard, Jacoby did a great job most of the day of avoiding sacks, getting away from the rush. Before that blocked field goal, though, he took a sack, and you guys lost 9 yards there. What did you see on that play, and was there any specific instruction, to him in the headset for, hey, whatever you do here, make sure you don't take a sack?
We always try to talk about situational football. I'll go back and watch the film and have a better answer for you going forward. What I will say is in the first half, he made some plays by extending drives with his legs, which is encouraging to see. We just need to be more of a balanced offense, which that'll be the goal this week.
Coach, you mentioned situational football. There were 2 end-of-half situations where you guys weren't able to capitalize. What, from your perspective, was the reason that you weren't able to score on those possessions?
Just lack of execution. That's what it comes down to. And I'm not trying to sound like a broken record. It just comes down to lack of execution. I felt like we were in shape, but as the game wore on, there were these little mental errors that ended up being big plays, and just got to do better.
Gerard, last time we spoke to you Friday, you said you wanted to see how Seattle would play you. They seemed to win the middle quarters, which would indicate some sort of adjustments. What adjustments, if any, did you see them make?
They were matching our big personnel with different groups. They were going base and they were going nickel and kind of they were just matching the personnel up, and they did a good job making adjustments faster than we did.
Just curious, end of the first half, and you guys had the ball. You ended up running one, then taking some time off the clock, throwing a couple. Is there anything you would have done differently in that scenario to maybe try to prevent them from being able to drive the other way?
Yeah, look, like I said, I'm going to go back and watch the game. There were a lot of plays in the game, and I don't want to give you bad information.
Gerard, I think just 4 targets for Demario Douglas in the first 2 games. What do you guys need to do to get him more involved on offense?
We have to get him going. Look, we have to scheme up some things for him. He's one of our most explosive players, and that's on us as coaches to put it together. Thanks.
That was head coach Gerard Mayo. His first regular season loss press conference. Fred, takeaways from that?
Not much. But the only thing that I raised my eyebrows at, I'm under the impression that Carrefour left on his own.
Right.
Like, whatever reason, he was unhappy. But the way he explained it, Mayo, that maybe there's something going on personally in that the door's open if he wants to come back.
Which I think...
I took it a whole different way than that. I think the door is open. I think the player decided to leave the team.
Right.
That's what I just said.
So if he decides to come back, why would the door not be open?
No, but, it depends on how he left, Paul. Like, if he MF'd everybody out the door, maybe they don't want him back.
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose that's a possibility. You're right.
Like, what are the circumstances?
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know the circumstances. I can't imagine a circumstance that he wouldn't be sort of welcomed back if he wanted to play.
I could, but apparently what those circumstances, according to Mayo, didn't happen.
I don't really understand this whole, and he said this in the pregame show. He echoed what he just said here. I checked on him, not as a football player. Well, no kidding. The guy left your team. Of course it's not as a football player. He decided, I'm not playing anymore. And he decided to willingly leave your team. Of course you're checking on him to see why.
Right. And
no, I know, but I think the distinction he's trying to make is this wasn't just about football. I wanted to know as a person, hey, are you okay? Right? That's the impression I got.
I just don't know what other way that you would look at it than that. You don't know why he left. The guy, I'm under the impression he just left the team. He's on the exempt left team.
Right.
So you got to find out why.
No, I know, but it could be a million reasons why.
I agree.
Yeah.
I actually brought up in the pregame show, I don't know if he's dealing with something mentally, with his mental health.
Right.
I really don't know why, but I don't know any other way that you would look in on him other than as a human being.
Right. And I think while you care about him as a human being, there is a business aspect of this is, can you count on this person going forward to help your team, whatever the role is?
I agree.
And at least the coaching staff, the initial thought is he's not going to be a starting player for us. And maybe, who knows, I don't want to over-speculate that doesn't sit well with
I saw
players.
one report that said that he doesn't want to play football anymore. According to NBC Sports Boston, I saw earlier that he's contemplating whether or not he even wants to play. So, to me, that makes sense. But if he decides he wants to, the door's going to be open.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean you'd have to play him, but personally, I know nothing about the situation. I don't think he'll be back.
I would tend to agree with you. I want to hit this email up from Joe, webradio@patriots.com. I do subscribe to moral victories. To me, there is no blanket loss. The end result doesn't just erase all the fun that was had. That being said, I don't think this was a moral victory. I don't see how May makes a difference, nor do I see how anyone can really blame Jacoby for running for his life. Interesting that...
I agree with all aspects of that email other than moral victories. Everything else I'm 1,000% on board with.
But I think this year there could be moral victories.
Yeah, not me.
If you're seeing progression, if you're seeing... certain guys on offense getting better. If you see, hey, Polk's going to be an NFL player, and he's proving it week in and week out.
I think all of that
Those
would
are
be
moral
great.
victories.
I think all of that would be great. If you don't win the games, it's not good.
And I don't think we saw enough today
really,
to put that in the
do you go into this season thinking, man, we should be winning football games?
No, I don't.
All right.
But that doesn't
So
mean
I'm
that doesn't mean I think it's a moral victory if they did.
No, but so I'm looking for
lose
other positives, and if you want to call them victories or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I mean, so it's a typical Paul and Fred bickering match. We're
Semantics.
arguing over semantics.
Is it a moral victory or a silver lining? And what's the difference,
Whatever.
really?
Yeah.
Deuce.
Right.
Again, I'd hang my hat more on this was a missed opportunity and they let one slip away.
Silver lining,
Look,
missed opportunity.
as a season, if the season ends and we know Drake May played 12 games or 11 games and he's going to be good and Polk's going to be good and we've got 3 or 4 guys on offense that we know we're going to be able to count on. To me, that's a moral victory.
Right.
I think to me, that's a good sign that you have something set up for the future.
Right.
I don't think there's any moral victory involved.
Yeah,
that's
I think it's a little early, Paul. Fred, to talk about this. When the guys in the locker room who just busted their tail, as the coach said, there's no question about effort and anything like that. They let this one slip away. I don't think they're looking about what can we look for as far as the future. I think they're pissed that they lost this game today.
And they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's our job.
Right.
They shouldn't be. They should be out there trying to win every game. You get back to that whole tanking thing, which does not exist.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
These guys are out to win, and they should be.
And I often say to you, Fred, like, there's no such thing as like 100%, 0%, like every time. Like, there are always exceptions. If they go out to San Francisco and go back and forth,
lost
toe to
today, by the
toe,
way.
and have an opportunity to win, if they, who else? Like, they knock off like
the Bills,
Buffalo and Miami back
Yeah.
to back. It's not like listen, or like they beat one and then they lose it. Okay, like I can listen to like, well, you know what? That's not a terrible loss. They showed that they're getting close. And so I'm not telling you 100%. Just losing. I mean, and I know the emailer said this was not a moral victory. He emphatically said that. I agree with the email. Like, losing at home to a middling team when you had the lead in the last 2 minutes of the game is not a moral victory.
Today wasn't a moral victory.
And again, the emailer said it was
Yeah.
not a moral victory. I just don't really believe in them in the NFL. Like, I think all the teams are reasonably even when it comes to overall ability.
Yeah.
Now, there's some teams that are better than others, and I would say San Francisco is more talented than a lot of teams. So that's why I would say you lose a game like that, you lose 23-20 in overtime at San Francisco,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to say, that's not the worst loss in the world.
I'd just say from the last couple of years, there are losses that were below the line, like below the line of acceptability. And
the Chargers
was today above the line.
Today was above the line.
They played
This
hard.
is
They
above
played
line.
well.
It
The
was
other
back
team,
and forth.
The other
They
team
fought
played
back.
hard and they played well too.
You know, I mean, I'm looking at the stats from the 26-3 loss for the Panthers here, and I mean, 80 yards passing. I mean, like there's just they're below the line right now, and as long as you're above the line, I think right now, 2 games into this season, you're okay.
webradio@patriots.com. Johnny from Ireland asks, simple question: does Drake make a throw that maybe wins you today's game? It's a hypothetical. If you ever had one.
Yes, definitely. He definitely does. I don't know.
And I'm going to say
I
no.
don't think so.
I'm going to say no.
I mean, I don't
definitely.
think
have
so
no
because
idea.
it's the totality of the game. And
But
what I
like
think
the
he might
other
have given
caller
me might
said,
not-
does he also throw 2 picks?
Right.
Right.
And I think the coaching staff would probably tell you that's their biggest concern.
Yeah.
I would just say I'm getting really, really close to wanting to see it.
Oh, I want to see it. I'm like, I don't care. Get him out there.
No, like,
assuming he's mentally ready.
Yeah, I want to see if it is any different. I want to see, it's it's the pluses and minuses. It's the mistakes. Are they outweighed by the plays? And I want to see what it looks like net.
Yeah.
Can he make plays that Jacoby can't? And will he make mistakes that Jacoby doesn't?
And are the mistakes correctable?
Right.
I just love not to see 3-4 hits a game where you're like, did he just have a season-ending injury? Because that's what I felt today. There were 3 or 4 hits today where I thought Jacoby got concussed. I thought he had a knee injury.
knee.
His arm is all scraped up. I mean, he's getting destroyed out there, and I'd love for that not to be Drake May's first experience.
That might be part of the decision making. Fred Gerard said on Friday, 30% reps in practice. Do you believe that number goes up incrementally as the season wears on? This will be a tough week and maybe tough to judge.
Yeah.
But do you think that gets to 35?
If things stay the same offensively, yes.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't think it can.
No, I think
Yeah,
first
but
of
then
all,
you
get
gotta
into the old 50-50 reps and who's
no, I
being
don't think
prepped?
that will happen.
Okay.
I think when they decide that May's ready to start, he's going to take the reps.
Got
but until then, I think 30 is a high number. I would actually, based on what Evan talked about, I would kind of doubt 30. I think they're counting virtual reps. I know there was a lot made of that. You know, Mayo's the one who told Evan Washburn that. So obviously when Mayo's asked about it, he's going to say yes, because he's the one who told the sideline reporter. The way that Evan explained it, didn't seem like it was 30% to me, but that's a high number to me.
Might be earlier in the week on first and second down on Wednesday, and then they get into third down red zone. That's mostly Jacoby.
Back off a little bit. 855-PATS-500 is the number. Let's check in with first. Let's go to John in South Beach. Hello, John. You're on the Patriots postgame show.
Johnny South Beach.
I'm here. I'm back. Howdy, Paul.
Hey, Johnny.
So one positive comment and then one critical thing. I threw my hands up and cheered when Jalen Polk caught that touchdown. It wasn't life-changing. It wasn't, like, incredibly impressive, but I think that's a really positive thing. And then on the negative front, I don't know. The Seahawks were almost 50% on third down, and I feel like every time they needed something, they got it, and the defense just reminded me of, like, last year's defense and the defense the year before, where they'll hold up to a point, but they won't make that one big, huge stop. So what do you guys think about that?
And thanks for your call, John. I think that's a really excellent point.
100% cosign.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they made it last week, but, you know.
Yeah, last week they did.
And
that's what was so impressive about it.
Pedestrian
It's rare.
offense today? Is that a fair
What's that?
question? Is Seattle's offense pedestrian? I mean, they're not explosive.
Well, look at all the drops they had.
Right.
They had at least 5 critical drops.
Right.
You know, I think each one of them would have been for first downs. I think.
Right.
Well, some of them were really big plays too.
Yeah.
Like that drive that in the second half where they opened with a drop by Metcalf on the slant, and followed by a drop by was it Smith and Jigba on the sideline?
I think it was, yeah. I think so.
Now, listen, those guys both caught double-digit passes. You can't catch every
Right.
pass, but those were pretty easy catches. And the one that Noah Fant drops at the end of the game,
Awful.
Yeah.
they probably were lucky to get to overtime.
Right. In the next 3 weeks,
The Patriots, I mean.
they're going to get the Jets on a short week, but it's their home opener, so they should be, ready for beer there. They then go to San Francisco, who's without McCaffrey. I think I saw a note that Kittle left the game at some point in time, so they might be banged up a little bit.
Well, that's the other thing is you're catching all these teams completely banged to crap.
And Miami without Tua. So, I mean, I don't know that
Although
there's
we don't know that yet, but
well, I would think indications are probably. I mean, is he going to play in 2 or 3 weeks? I guess he can, but
that's a long time.
Okay.
Paul, are you suggesting that he shouldn't play?
I'm not suggesting it's
Careful.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Antonio Pierce. I have to listen to Antonio Pierce. If I were Mike McDaniel, I'd file a grievance. Like I have to listen to another team's
about my
coach
players.
tell me what I should do.
Right.
Like, why is that okay?
Right.
I might need to.
You
take
worry
some-
about your team.
I might need to take something
I
back
have-
on Antonio Pierce. They beat Baltimore in Baltimore. Like that's a big win for the Raiders.
That's a shocker.
Yep,
That's a shocker.
That was a shocker.
G
I
in
told
North
you I didn't
Car-
want to lay more than a score in that game. I really talked myself out of a lot of good picks today.
G in North Carolina, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. Hello, G.
Hey guys, I'm calling in. I'm a big Patriots fan. I grew up where you guys are. I live in Charlotte now, but I was calling because I feel like we're still progressing for doing what we all thought that was going to happen, where we're rebuilding, and I feel like the defense will gel as the season goes on. But I don't. You guys are the stats guys. I'm not a stats guy, but I know Jordan Love. He what was it, like a year at least that he was behind Aaron Rodgers before he came out, and look at the quarterback he is now. I think we just need to relax, let Jacoby do his thing, and let Drake May come into it. I mean, the offensive line's in bad shape anyway. Just throw him in there right now.
Okay, G, thanks for your the call there. I guess I'll ask you guys here, what do you think the fan perception is after a game like this?
Start the kid. I think, I mean,
we're on the blog. It was about 50-50.
Yeah.
Like, now you know why he shouldn't be in there, and then other people saying, just get him in.
Yeah.
I've seen enough.
Yeah. That's the scale going forward.
Yeah.
It's just that's the scale. But just to let you guys know, I mean, as of right now, Patriots are still in the 6th seed for the playoffs. So
okay,
that's good news. I mean,
all right.
Still got a spot.
1-1
in the postseason. There is a path.
Yep. I'm all off for that.
Buffalo top seed.
I'm
Tough.
here for that.
Tough.
and Buffalo looks good.
Chargers
I just
2-0.
I wonder after a game like this what the fans are thinking. Is there discouragement as they maybe let one slip away that they could have had? Are they okay with let's just stay the course? Do the fans feel like they have patience in order to see this, team get rebuilt on the fly?
I mean, I don't know what the fans' patience level is. I think most people just want to see Drake May.
Okay, how were the fans? What was the press box jockeys? How did the fans sound today? Were they into the game? Was there any
Are
booing?
you calling
Was there
the
any
press
cheering?
box jockeys fans?
No, I'm asking you guys who could
Yeah,
listen in the press box.
we don't. Yeah, we don't hear any.
No, we couldn't really tell.
Okay.
It seemed like it got a little loud, but I mean, it's hard. We don't even see the flyover, Matt. We don't even see the board. There's no
Okay.
video board. We're a little isolated up there.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
We're lucky we're even in the
Yeah,
stadium.
we can see the field. I think that's all that matters.
Ish. It's a long way away from a bad angle.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering if there was that you guys had any sense of how that.
Although I didn't have
played.
any that's going to get picked moments today. Usually that happens at least once or twice a game.
Really, I think they call those turnover-worthy plays.
But usually they're not. They just look because we're 9 miles
Right,
away.
right.
It looks like that's going to get picked, and it lands right in the receiver's hands.
Right.
I didn't have any of those.
You got no
today.
depth perception. It's hard.
Yep.
855 PATS 500 is our number. We want to hear from you. webradio@patriots.com if you have a question as far as this is concerned. So let's turn our attention to the Jets. And how do you think what do we think is the thinking as a coaching staff prepares their first time with this group on a short week to get ready for a division rival? They haven't seen Rodgers. They've watched him on tape and everything like that. What do you think their thinking is as they look into this game?
Pressure.
Sure.
Shaky offensive line for the Jets.
No, pressure Rodgers because he can't move.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to
Well,
say
the other thing,
challenge
their
him.
offensive line is probably
It's
better.
not bad.
It's better than it was, but it's not their strength.
Certainly it wasn't a huge issue in the opener. They couldn't sustain any offense. They couldn't get off the field. That was the biggest problem. They got 400 yards of offense in that game.
I would bet too that they're probably saw this coming, know what the Jets do, probably have some things already prepped that they know they want to try to accomplish, that are not dependent on how this game went or what they showed in this game. Like I would assume that they preseason are more prepared for this game. I mean, I think they're going to do a walkthrough tomorrow. They're going to do one practice Tuesday, travel Wednesday. I mean, it's quick. So knowing the team like they do, I would think that their preparation is probably mostly already in place, and they got something for Robert Saleh on that defense.
Meaning that when the schedule comes out in May and they can see that they've got him in week 3 and it's a short week, they're working on jet prep well in advance, so it's not cramming for a test this week.
Yeah, and you face that team, you kind of know generally how they want to play, so you have some sense of how you're going to match up with them. So not having looked at really how the Jets played, I think you just focus on yourself. And, I mean, again, I think a lot of the elements are there, but it's really like all this stuff of injuries and other teams. Like, it's not going to matter unless you establish a passing game at some point. So that, to me, is just the bottom line. You've got to find a way to move the ball through the air.
I'm just looking at the Jets game right here. There was another lackluster game for their offense, 265 yards. Their defense was better, obviously with a much easier opponent. Tennessee only gave up 300 yards of offense. But, 18 for 30, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns for Rodgers. Efficient, no mistakes. Breece Hall had 62 yards. They had 2 backs, average over 4 yards a carry. Allen had a 20-yard touchdown run. But, 5 for 12 on third down. They need more offensively, New York does. And, the Patriots need a bounce-back effort on defense.
That's the thing, Paul. I'm looking at, Breece Hall, 8 targets, 7 catches, 52 yards. He's a running back. Garrett Wilson, 6 targets, 4 yards, 57 yards. And nobody else had more than 2 catches. So, again,
they still don't seem like they have that second receiver because Mike Williams has 1 catch for 19 yards.
Yeah.
I don't think he was targeted last
been banged
week.
up, I think, a little bit. I think that might be part of it. But, I look at that Jets team, and it's trying to hold it all together with an old, all these veterans they brought in on the offensive line. But, do they have enough threats? That's going to be my question with the Jets. But you've got to get pressure on Rodgers, and that's, again, going back to the summer, that was my thing going in. We lost White, we lost Judon. Are they going to be able to have guys who can win one-on-one? And I think these first couple weeks, you've seen. It's got to be team rush. They don't really have one-on-one winners.
What concerns me is that Jets defensive line.
And only 2 sacks.
They
lost Jermaine Johnson today, by the way. He got carted off.
Right. And I also thought I saw something that Mosley got nicked as well.
Okay.
Who's been a terrific player for him. But it's Quinnen Williams that I'm concerned about, that can just wreak havoc with the Patriots offensive line in the state that it's in. Do the Patriots have enough on defense to keep Rodgers down while the Jets are still trying to figure it out? It sort of sounds to me a little bit, maybe I'm talking myself into it, another low-scoring game.
Gonna have to sneeze here.
Yeah,
in a second.
I mean, I don't. Kind of didn't really get what we thought today. I thought there was more offense in the game today than certainly I was anticipating. I wasn't looking for a 300-yard passer for sure. But yeah, I don't think either team is very good offensively, Jets or the Patriots.
Yeah, but there wasn't fireworks today, Paul.
No, but I mean, for that, I mean, that's fireworks. I mean, these are very low-powered teams. 23-20?
Yeah, I mean, blown coverage, leading to 1 touchdown. Like, everything was short. The drives were long.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way. I thought there were a lot of big completions today for the Seahawks. The Patriots, it's like watching.
Correct.
Your taxes get done.
Oh yeah,
15 plays, 60 yards, field goal.
Yeah, it's a march. It's
trudge.
Trudge.
Yeah. But that said, it's represented through 2 games a little bit of an improvement over last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe this much, but a little bit of an improvement over last year. They've put together some drives, whereas last year they couldn't put together any drives.
Right.
Webradio at Patriots.com. Max writes in, I feel like we're all looking past the point that the start of the season is getting better than we all expected. We kept this game close and won last week. Improvements need to happen on both sides of the ball, but overall less than we expected. We beat a Bengals team who's playing well against the Chiefs right now. So I'll try to jump on one of the things that Max is asking. Rate of improvement between week 1 and week 2. Did they improve overall, Mike? Did you see enough for you to say that in the affirmative?
I think they showed more out of Hunter Henry.
Marginal.
That was
marginally. I agree.
Marginally
with Mike.
more, but generally I thought they were more clutch last week. I think they got a little bit more disruption last week in terms of the defensive line, and I mean they went against better receivers. And I don't want to say they were exposed, but they had a tougher challenge to deal with
that
those receivers.
That game was a blink away from a 30-plus game for Seattle. I mean, they don't like Fred brought up the half dozen drops. They catch half of those. And we're looking at a different
and that's
outcome.
the thing about football. Coaches will tell you that every game is its own thing. You can't really compare last week to this week because the Bengals weren't playing well.
Yeah.
They weren't the team that we're seeing today.
Yeah, they clearly showed up. And I don't know if they'll win the game. They're up 16-10 late in the first half. I don't know if they'll win, but they clearly showed up to play today.
No question.
They didn't show to play last week. They had all that crap that went on with all the contract issues. And I'm telling you, my thought was 0-3 Patriots. They felt sorry for themselves in week 1. This owner's not going to pay any of us. We got to get out of here. Chase is talking about, I'm not going to get paid, so I might as well go. And then maybe they said, you know what, are we just going to crap a whole season down the toilet? No, let's stand up and fight.
This is the Patriots post-game show presented by DraftKings. We're here for about another 15 or so minutes. Spee in Fresno says, to answer Matt's question about how discouraged we are, I'm disappointed they let this opportunity slip away, but I haven't seen this team lose enough games to be truly discouraged yet.
Well, I mean, the discouraging losses aren't ones that look like this. I mean, the discouraging losses are the ones like, last year with Dallas and New Orleans and those ones where you just...
They got thumped.
You get thumped. You never really get on track. You never feel like you really have a chance.
Or the Colts.
Colts.
Where you can't even score a touchdown.
Yeah. And so that's, for me, is just my fan hat on. Like, this has looked more functional to me through 2 games. And like I said, it's felt above the line. It feels like a competitive team.
Mike, that's a really good
point. They've got problems for sure, but... It's much more enjoyable watching this game than some of the games I watched last year. And, I don't know if that's who this team is or if this is just, again, 2 games that kind of went the way they went. But, we'll see. It's gonna be a quick turnaround here right into the Jets. That's a really big challenge. We know, how we feel about the Jets around here. But if I'm the Jets looking at, what Seattle did on offense today was really just 2 receivers themselves. I mean, it was, there was like 30 targets between JSN and Metcalf. So, they can't really pressure us, guys. Let's just drop everybody in coverage and say, go ahead, try to beat us.
Is there a silver lining in that when the Patriots receivers, including Henry, were throwing the ball, they didn't drop it? If it was within range? Like,
too small.
Do we have any drops?
No.
Not that I can recall.
No,
Yeah.
but too small.
Nothing
of
I
a
mean,
sample.
maybe one with Osborne that they said he didn't catch on the sideline, but I wouldn't call
Tough
that a
play.
drop.
Tough
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
I like the
So,
line, Mike.
silver lining.
Okay. I like the line, Mike, above the line or below the line as far as the performance is concerned. On the line now is Eric in New Jersey, and we'll take his call right now. Hi, Eric. You're on the Patriots postgame show.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Eric.
Good. So I have a question. I'll take it off the line here. But where do you guys rank the progression of, getting the young guys developed as opposed to the win-loss record? Because it's like we have guys like Polk, Douglas. Obviously, Douglas, the 20 receptions is a farce. But, I mean, where do you pose to getting these younger guys, game time exposure? Where do you put that precedent over just the team winning games? And I'll take it off the line. Thanks.
Thank you for your call. And I think that's the number one goal of the year.
Yeah.
Is that, and I think a head coach knows that how do you remain competitive to try to win the game, but at the same point in time, get this roster back and to develop players so that you're in a better position in a year.
Yeah, but I just don't think that the two things have to be mutually exclusive. I
Right.
think the young guys are going to play and get experience whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
who was out there today? It
All
was
of them.
Polk. It was Douglas.
I mean, the only person we didn't really see was Baker, right?
We saw him.
No, we saw him.
Oh,
He played a little
Yeah,
bit.
He played more than
he didn't get
than
targeted.
Booty.
Did he
He
get
played
targeted?
more than Booty last week.
Yeah.
Right.
He got in, but I mean, Pettis and Dial played a ton on special teams. Keon White's a second-year guy, but still, he's playing a ton. Robinson and Wallace both played a lot.
Yeah, I
you got
think they're all
Jaheim
getting
Bell, you got
experience.
Javon
Yes.
Baker, you got Jalen Polk.
And I don't think
And I don't think like keeping them out would give you any better chance to win.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're
No.
not
Yeah.
mutually exclusive.
Right.
You can try to win the games while playing your young players
Right.
because
Yeah, and I think
the young players give you the best chance to win.
Right, they're just as
the
good,
only
if
one
not
who's
better.
not playing is Drake
the
May.
quarterback.
Right, that's
Right,
the only
right.
one.
Hampton and Charlotte, North Carolina. You're next on the Patriots postgame show.
Hi. So I still have patience with Jacoby, though that loss did feel like a gut punch because it was winnable. But my question for y'all is with the current style of conservative offense that is had with us, do y'all think it's realistic we are still in the mold where if our defense isn't perfect, we're going to lose? Thanks, y'all. Take it offline.
I
Thanks
do
for your
think
call,
I think it's on the defense's shoulders right now to win games.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would say the defense won the opener.
Yeah.
But this is kind of
And
like,
they could have won today.
But this is kind of like what I'm talking. Well, no, the offense would have won the game today had they won, but they didn't. They ultimately fell short. But this is what I was talking about. Like, you can't get 290 yards in 16 points every week and expect to win. This is what happens when the other team can actually function as an offense.
Yeah.
Like,
So you're putting that on who?
the offense needs to score more
Yes.
points in general, but today, that's about as good as you're going to get for offense. They had the ball for like 5 minutes more than the Patriots did. Patriots couldn't stop Seattle today.
Right.
But I think
let's call it what it was.
But
They couldn't stop them.
right, and I think
turn 'em over.
that's the caller's point is that if the defense doesn't win you the game this year, you're not going to win.
And when you say win the game, it's creating turnovers.
Yeah,
Or
I guess I would say if the offense doesn't score, you're not going to win. I don't care what the defense does.
Of course, but we're talking about this team. Like, if this team is going to win, it's probably going to be because the defense held them to under 16 points or whatever.
Yeah,
they
played well, and they probably have to get takeaways. I mean, I think that might have been. You can qualify the fourth down stop as a takeaway, but
because
otherwise-
right now, we're not forget about May. Right now, I don't see where the offense consistently is coming from. I don't see where. Polk was open all game, and all Jacoby had to do was get the ball out quicker. I didn't see that.
I need to watch the film before making that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Gotta go
All right.
tape.
Listen, we welcome everybody's thoughts and opinions. Here's an interesting one from Yvonne in Toronto. Would Mayo consider putting in May for some plays with Brissett, a la Taysom Hill?
I really hope not, in all seriousness. I don't. First of
That's
all,
just going to create a clown show.
well, Taysom Hill is a different case. He's going in as a bulldozing, like
Right.
Tim
He's
Tebow,
250
running back.
pounds or whatever.
But I think I don't think that's good for May's development, unless you just want to say, you know what, we're gonna put him in and see if we can get a spark out of this, or something. Maybe a game is really. Let's say today, they're down instead of 17-13, it's 17-3. Late in the third quarter, maybe he just decides, I'm going to put him in. I'm not necessarily ready to pass the baton, but I'm looking to get a spark. and I'm going to go with May for the rest of the game. That I'm okay with. But I don't think that's great for a guy's development. If he's in one possession, it's not college.
No.
Like you go in for a possession, then you come out.
But it is, I mean, but there is something to be said, though, Paul, if you are down by a couple scores, to say that this kid can throw the ball down the
Yes.
field. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
willing
That's-
to.
that's different
and,
to me.
You know, he's not going to be afraid to take some shots, and he's also got some mobility.
So let's go back to Gerard Mayo for a second. His press conference, right? He was very clear. We need to do a better job getting the ball down the field.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody knows
that got my antenna too.
Everybody knows Jacoby's game.
Yep.
So
Yep.
are you going to do that with Jacoby?
Right.
Like, are you going to expect Jacoby to do something that he doesn't do?
Right. Yeah.
Well, are they not going down the field because Jacoby can't, or because they're not dialing up those plays? Because I didn't see a lot of plays today that were dialed up to go down the field.
True.
And we
True.
heard from Mayo, so now let's hear from the quarterback, Jacoby Brissett.
Field goal, everything else happened. What do you take from this? What do you learn from it?
Yeah, you know, it's at that point in the season where everything's a learning experience. Obviously, you know, you put yourself in position, hopefully, to make a couple more plays here and there throughout the game. I know we all gonna go back and watch this film, and it's gonna be a play here, a play there. You know, starting with myself, and you know, so it's gonna be, you know, good for us to go back and watch this film and learn from it. The hits are, I mean, it's part of football, so I'm used to that.
Jacoby, over here.
This right.
Right here.
Uh-oh.
It's been 2 games now without a lot of production to wide receivers. What do you think has been the issue there?
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, obviously, you know, we would like more in our passing game. You know, I got to do a better job of getting a lot of those guys involved in the game plan and throughout the game. So I take responsibility for that.
Jacoby, the 3rd and 1 in overtime with you got stuffed, but it was also the penalty. Can you just sort of explain the call there as you understood it and what happened there?
Yeah, so they called us for a legal man. He really didn't explain it to me. So when we go back, I'll have to.
It was uncovered, I think. There was no receiver on that side.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's a penalty. So.
All the way to the right again, Jacoby. All the way. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, similar to Doug's question, just some of the play action plays today. It seemed like you guys wanted to push the ball down the field. It looked like they were playing a decent amount of too deep. Like, would you say that?
Yeah, for sure. You know, obviously, you know, whatever their tail was, they had a good tail on us when we were trying to push the ball down the field, and you know, they did a good job. You know, had a good game plan as far as, you know, not letting us get behind them. You know, we tried to, but you know, got to find ways to you know, to get on top of that and stay and continue to try to push the ball down the field and find different ways. But yeah, I thought they did a good job of, you know, playing too deep a lot of the times when we're trying to take our shots.
Hey, Jacoby. Career day for Hunter Henry. You hit him for over 100 yards. Just what is that chemistry like with him, and, you know, how have you guys been getting along the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's growing. You know, I mean, obviously he wasn't towards the tail end of training camp. He wasn't out there as much, but getting him back into the rhythm and the flow of the offense, and you know, I mean, he's a really good player. And obviously, you know, had a bunch of, you know, good plays today, and you know, it's a lot of fun having him on my side of the ball, and you know, I just look forward to progressing that relationship and chemistry and continue to make more plays.
Nico Malik to your left.
Jacoby, going back to Hunter, a lot of those plays seemed like they were pretty late breaking and improvising. How much of was your connection to him as you drew it up in the playbook, and how much of it was just going out there and making a play?
Damn, I don't really remember every play of the game right now that he made, but you know, I would say it's probably split. You know, obviously he was in the area that he was. I probably scrambled a little bit. He moved a couple times, but for the most part, I think it was pretty spot on.
Jacoby, when Antonio broke that long run, there was about 6 minutes to go, and you go backwards 5 yards, miss a field goal. You only had 11 yards offensively the rest of the game. How much of a missed opportunity to feel like you couldn't close it out?
Yeah, man, I think you answered it there. It's tough, man. You know, you get that big play, and you know, you get all the momentum, and then now you're going the opposite way. You know, and you know, it's in those critical situations we got to find a way to. You know, I think that was the the moment in the game where it's like now we got to put them away. You know, they gave us the you know, the light, and we didn't take it this time, and you know, we just got to find a better way to, you know, to capitalize on those, especially when we get down there this late in the game versus a really good team. You know, they don't give you that many opportunities, so you got to take advantage of those.
Your final questions, Josh Bogadier.
Thanks,
Thanks. Jacoby, your 9th year in the league. This was the second game as head coach for both Gerard and across the way for Mike McDonald. What did you think about the way the two of them coached today, back and forth, in terms of the end of that game?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game, going into overtime, second game of the season, back and forth on both sides of the ball, playing good football on both sides of the ball, and then special teams, I thought both of them did a good job. I mean, I don't know whether he was telling his team, but I thought Mayo did a good job, getting us an opportunity, getting us a chance to, to be in a game, to go make the plays to win. And, obviously we came up short, but, it's a great learning experience, and we got a short week, so we got to, put this one behind us fast and get ready to move forward. And that's kind of what he preaching in there to us right now. And, it's just going to continue to get better.
Jacoby, can you tell me what you saw on the sack that you took right before the missed field goal? Around the 21, took the 9-yard sack.
Yeah, it was just a bad play by me. I was trying to get the ball out, and then I just didn't want to be careless with the ball and throw it, and then somebody strips at me from behind because I felt somebody coming from behind. And so I was trying to get the ball out, and then it was just a bad play by me.
Accountable and professional Jacoby Brissett. I can understand why the Patriots want a guy like that. That's who you just heard from. I wanted to bring up one thing that I had in my notes that I should have brought up earlier. And am I overreacting to this? And that was what seemed to me defensively. The Patriots had a tough time adjusting to that no huddle or pace that Seattle hit them with a couple times. That didn't look great, at least to the eye. It didn't pass the eyeball test. They seemed like they struggled throughout the game with that.
I thought Seattle did whatever it wanted to all day offensively. I
they
think
didn't score though. In
yeah,
the second half
they got in their own way a lot. Fred brought up the drops. I brought up the penalty that stopped the drive when they got the guy punched somebody after the play, completely short-circuited a second half drive. But I thought the 3 receiver set for Seattle, and they ran the no huddle the whole game. It wasn't up tempo, but it was no huddle the whole game, which I think probably affected the Patriots' ability to sub at times.
Right.
And I think that they did a good job with their motions. I thought Smith and Jigba was a problem throughout the game. They had a hard time keeping track of him. And I thought, like I said, Seattle offensively, for the most part,
did what they wanted to do.
They really did what they wanted to do.
Yep. Agree, Fred?
Yeah, I do. I mean, just the receiving yards alone, the number of catches that they had.
Now, there were individual plays, big plays, that the Patriots came up huge, like the 4th and 1. But I would go back and say on the 3rd and 1, you fumble a snap. You can't do that.
Right.
And that makes you have to go for it on 4th down, and then Duggar makes the huge play on 4th down. Or that might have been the third one, might have been the one at the end of regulation, where the 4th down one they ended up not going for. They just kicked the field goal to tie it. I might be confusing those two, but I thought for the most part Seattle had a plan, and it worked.
At the very least, it never felt like New England was really dictating on defense or forcing the matter at all.
I think it was the most troubling thing.
Yeah, out of the gate last week, I would have said yes. It just seemed like they were buzzing, and the Bengals seemed on their heels. Never felt like that with Seattle.
And it felt like New England was on their heels for most of the time defensively.
Yeah, especially. I mean, I will give them some credit though, because there were sometimes where it felt like the game started to tail off, and you're like, here it goes. It's going to be that win probability
big
straight
plays.
to the victory.
They made big plays at times.
They countered and
they
picked
showed
themselves
toughness.
up. Yeah.
They're gonna keep fighting.
Yeah.
They're not gonna quit.
Well, we're 2 weeks in.
Yeah. We're 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Right. Like if the offense continues to do what it's done the first 2 weeks, they didn't pack it in last year either until very late. So we'll see.
Right. It's basically the same group of guys.
Right. I think the coach is encouraged by their determination and their effort. Thinks he's got a tough team. Again, we talked about this earlier. They got punched today. There's some adversity. There's some guys that they're going to be without. It's a short week. Let's see how they respond.
It's a Wednesday,
It's
on their world.
Right now, it's
Wednesday.
It's already Wednesday, guys. It's already Wednesday
in their world. All right. Well, it's Sunday here in Foxborough, and the Patriots lose their home opener to the Seattle Seahawks in overtime, 23-20 the score. We'll be back at it again on Thursday, even though today's Wednesday, when the Patriots travel to the Meadowlands to take on the Jets in some Thursday night football. For Fred Kirsch, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, Chris Judge, Josh Davis, Matt Lepian, Matt Morrell, I'm Matt Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Thursday night.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.